deep true crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we're headed to Northport, Florida, where in a shocking turn of events, the life of Dima Tower, a 21-year-old Ukrainian adoptee, has taken a tragic and bewildering twist. Rescued from the confines of a prison-like orphanage by a deeply devout American couple, Robbie and Jennifer Tower, his world now stands shattered as he faces charges for their untimely demise. The once hopeful narrative of a young man finding refuge and love in the arms of caring adoptive parents has morphed into a grim tale of violence and heartbreak. Allegedly, on a fateful Friday evening in Northport, Florida, Dima is accused of committing an unspeakable act, leaving the devoted Christian missionary couple lifeless on the living room floor, their heads resting together amidst a chilling sea of blood. As the community grapples with this horrifying event, Dima's 8-hour flight where he was leaving justice, is trying to escape, came to an end and on a somber Saturday morning, marking the start of a harrowing legal battle. The tranquil facade of the Tower household now stands as a haunting testament to the inexplicable darkness that has gripped this once hopeful family. Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. They were not just your ordinary couple. They were Christian missionaries who also worked as real estate agents in the area. But what made them truly extraordinary was their decision to adopt a troubled young man from Ukraine. And that's where their world would be turned upside down. This young man, Dima Tower, had a tumultuous past. He had been saved from the clutches of a prison-like orphanage in Ukraine by the Towers when he was just 14 years old. In that dark place, he had endured beatings and bruises, a life devoid of love and care. The Towers, driven by their faith and compassion, decided to give Dima a chance at a better life. They adopted him, showering him with love, attention, and support. For 7 years, they were his family, his sanctuary from the horrors of his past. But Dima's journey from a troubled orphan to a loving family member was far from smooth. He struggled to adjust to his new life in America and often displayed disturbing and violent behavior. And despite their best efforts, the Towers couldn't erase the darkness that seemed to consume him. Tragedy struck one fateful Friday evening when a neighbor heard frantic banging on her door, screams for help that echoed through the night. But when she opened her door, she found nothing but blood spatters on the ground. Terrified, she called the police. The police arrived at the Tower's home and they find a horrifying scene. But as they pull up, they see the boy shutting the trunk of his car. And then, not paying attention to their commands, he gets in his car and he drives away, ensuing a chase from the police. Inside the home, Robbie and Jennifer, head to head, lay lifeless on the living room floor, surrounded by pools of blood. Dima was there too, as I shared, outside the home, blood staining his clothes as he tried to close the trunk of his car. A desperate and chaotic chase ensued, with Dima leading the police on a high speed pursuit. It seemed like he would escape, but fate had other plans. He hit spike strips on the highway, abandoned his car, and disappeared into a wooded area. And for almost 8 hours, he remained at large, hiding from the law. And as the investigation unfolded, the motive behind the gruesome act remained a mystery. Why would Dima, the young man rescued from the depths of despair, turn against the only people who had shown him love? Robbie's uncle, Warren Rhines, shed some light on Dima's troubled past. There had been instances of violence before, including a call to the police 3 years ago when Dima had left Robbie with a black eye. Again, Robbie was his adopted dad. But the Towers, ever forgiving and compassionate, had taken him back, believing in the power of redemption. They had adopted Dima to save him from the horrors of the Ukrainian orphanage where he had suffered both physically and emotionally. In their Florida home, they provided him with love, food, and material comforts, trying to heal the wounds of his past. Despite their unwavering love, it seemed that Dima had carried a deep well of hate within him from the beginning, and tragically, he had directed that hate towards the only family he had ever known. The community was devastated by the loss of the Towers. They had seen the Towers as a loving family, one that sacrificed so much for Dima. Robbie's mother, Debbie Tower, expressed her heartbreak on social media, saying they spent their entire life savings to adopt him, and this is how he repays them. In the midst of this tragedy, the glimpses of the Tower's love and support shone through all of it, through social media posts. They had celebrated birthdays, played board games, watched sports, and shared countless moments of a joy as a family. And their social media posts, it painted a picture of a family united by love, faith, and hope. But now that hope had been shattered, and a community was left to grapple with the inexplicable violence that had torn apart a family that had once seemed unbreakable. And as we continue to learn about this heartbreaking story, we do not have a motive as to why this has occurred. But Robbie Tower, 49 years old, and Jennifer Tower, 51 years old, were killed in their home in Northport, Florida on Friday before he led cops on this 8 hour manhunt that ended with his arrest Saturday morning. You see, the cops get a call shortly before midnight about some strange incidents going on in the area. And so police, they arrived to the Towers, Florida home that Friday evening after the neighbor reported someone banging on her door, screaming for help. And when the resident opened the door, the woman was gone, but that's when they found blood spatters on the ground. After police rushed to the scene, they allegedly found Tower outside the home with blood on his clothes as he was closing the trunk of his car. And police, they say that they gave him commands so that they can inspect what was going on after this phone call, but he just completely ignores them and he goes on a spree. And you can see when they adopted this kid, you can tell that they were coming from a caring Christian way. Because throughout all of this, look at what he even posted on Facebook. God's sovereignty plus love plus sunrise of a new day plus prayer plus prayers received plus court plus hearing plus judgment equals Dima James Tower. Thank you to everyone who have graciously supported our family, only for this all to be taken away by their adopted son. You see, they adopted him 7 years ago from an orphanage in Eastern Europe where he was beaten and bruised. And since moving to the US, all these unearthed social media posts, they show how the tower showered their son with love, attention, and support, just like a family would. And in a GoFundMe now set up to help with funeral costs, it describes on what a caring couple these two were. Even to the point that when this son gave him a black eye, they were forgiven. And this is where it's like we don't really know why he would do this. What we do know is that he did come from a troubled past. They rescued him. They rescued him. And you could see where he is smiling with the family multiple times through this, even when they were thanking God for putting them in his life, putting him in their life. And they truly cared about him. They celebrated him. They celebrated his 16th birthday. They shared, "We love you more with every passing moment. We thank God for placing you in our lives at exactly the perfect time." And now, this time, they are no longer here. They are no longer here for what the cops say this boy did to them. He's a young kid. He still has so much life to live. You see, after Dima's first week of school in January 2017, the family even celebrated by eating out at a local restaurant, and Rob even posted alongside a smiling selfie at the table as I was sharing with you. And he put taking our son out for a successful first week of school. And now we come back to no more. They won't be able to celebrate anything anymore. Rest in peace to this wonderful couple who did what they believed they were doing right by God, right in their heart, to rescue this young boy. And now we wait to see what happens. This is a developing story. We do not know much more. We do not have a motive. We just know that they were taken from this world way too soon. My friends, let me know in the comments, what do you think would bring someone? How closely are you following this story? Have you heard of this story? Let me know in the comments, what do you think will happen next? Obviously, he will either plead guilty or not guilty. Right now, this is still a developing story. Thank you for joining another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends, rest in peace to this loving couple, Robbie and Jennifer Tower, taken from this world way too soon. Thank you for joining me, my friends.